So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th EEA Symposium. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Really pleased to see so many of our members, so many of our partners, and also some new faces. So welcome to everyone. I am Ufi Ibrahim. I am the Chief Executive of the EEA, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. Now, we like to... Okay, yes, please, go for it. So, we like to do things in a slightly unorthodox fashion at the EEA. Our interpretation of sustainability, some would say, is also unorthodox because we take a very commercial approach. We say it's got to be scientifically robust and commercially sustainable, and we're here to help the industry to achieve that. And we are not shy of underlining the importance of profit in that mix. So the event itself is also slightly unorthodox, and you'll see later on. I'll talk about the program in a minute. But to give it an unorthodox start, what I'd like to do is to pick on someone in the audience. So everybody's going to freak out a little bit now, and that's absolutely fine, because I have a question that I'd like to ask. Come and join me. At this event, what is your single most desired outcome?
Well, that's a tough question. To learn. I think there's a lack of insight and understanding within the development community around hospitality, and I think there's a gap that needs to be filled. So I want to learn, and I want to be able to take the learnings and bring that into our business and share that outwards. So yes, learn.
Learn. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Glenn. So on that note, what I'd like you all to do now is to turn to the person to your left or your right and ask and share your single most desired outcome. You've got the time it takes for me to get up onto the stage to do that. So get talking, everyone. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to cover all of that and achieve all of those outcomes, because it sounds as if there are hundreds of outcomes that have just been shared. But we'll do our best, because we want to help you to succeed. I want to share my desired outcome for today. My desired outcome for today's event is building on Glenn's learn, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But my desired outcome is that today, each one of you meets someone that you seriously consider doing business with going forward. Why? Because if that happens, then you will come back to the next event because you'll see real value. You will join the EEA and you'll support us, and you'll put real participation and time in because you know that that's going to deliver value. And perhaps you will sign up yourselves, or you will sign up colleagues to do the King's ESG Hospitality Executive Education Program. Because that's how we plan to build an informed, pioneering, game-changing community. And that's what the EEA aspires to be. Many of you, I see a lot of alumni in the audience. I'm looking at 2 right now. And I really do hope that you will be inspired by our outstanding compere, Professor Mark Lepere from King's, and sign up to the program soon after this, or put your colleagues in to do the program. So the last thing I want to say before I hand over to Mark is just to say a huge thank you to everyone who has participated in bringing us together today, including, of course, our sponsors, including our host, Al Karim, and the 4C Group and his outstanding team who are still working away out there to help us, and all of our sponsors. I'm not going to list all our sponsors, but what I do want to say is engage with them. They have actually been hand-picked. Their technology is outstanding. Go and get your drinks chilled from EnviroCool and see that amazing machine, which should do away with refrigeration requirements. Actually go and participate in the breakout lunch roundtable sessions that we have upstairs if you haven't had a chance to do that at the breakfast meeting this morning, and engage with all those inspiring new technology providers. So on that note, please enjoy. Please, as Glenn says, learn and question, especially during our Dragon's Den sessions. The whole ambition we have is that everybody plays a very active role. We want it to be slightly informal, really interactive. So don't be shy. Use Mentimeter, use the microphones, and ask as many questions as possible. Let's have an amazing, educational, thoughtful, game-changing event. Enjoy. Mark?
Thanks. Morning, everyone. Great to see you all. This is my third year of the fourth year, so I'm running out of jackets. I'll try to do a different color every year, but we'll see what I come up with next year. It's brilliant to see you all. We've got just to test this Mentimeter thing. For those of you who were here last year, we used it. I made a mess of it a couple of times, so this year I'll try and do better. Art, can we just try the test question? We can all use our phones, so this will be the only way to ask questions, particularly during the Dragon's Den sessions, which are essentially the first two sessions before lunch, okay? So this is how to interact, and there's the test question. As you know, the way we try and make this interactive and interesting and energetic is to be very informal, quite kind of speedy about it. So we're going to have to do a lot better on timekeeping than we did coming into the room for a start, because the sessions, as Ufi always does, she's stacked the whole agenda, which is great. So we can learn a lot, but we do need to try and observe timings and things to get through it. I will be informal as always, so no big long titles. Let's just use first names. Everybody's titles are on the screen. For those of you who haven't been here before, they're always up there. The program's available to everybody. All the contact details are available. It's all there. So there's no reason to go into lengthy paragraphs about who we all are. So I'll just introduce you all very informally, if that's okay. The other thing I always try and do, because I forget, is to do all my thank yous now rather than at the end. So just in advance, thank you to Ufi and Peter and Art and Sean and everybody. Just a note on Ufi, I think given the way this topic is developing or evolving, I think we really do need a different style of leadership, and she's going to kill me, but I do think Ufi exemplifies the style of leadership that we need, which is really smart. She really, really knows this business. But she's very quiet, she's very inspiring, trusts us to get on with it whilst also guiding us. And it seems to me that's exactly the right kind of model of leadership that we need. So thank you for all that. As Ufi said, obviously our favorites are the people who've done the King's courses. So to all alumni, very nice to see you all. One of the main objectives of the course is learning. Glenn, absolutely right. But also this idea of networking, which is why we're all here. And in fact, thanks to Richard and Isa, we have our first alumni lunch for the first 3 cohorts, in fact, on the 12th of March at the hotel, St. James, Sofitel St. James. So thank you both for that, and we look forward to that. There are 2 colleagues from King's outside. So anyone who wants to learn about the course or what's involved, please talk to Nicole and Scott, who are there. Lastly, I think we can't really begin a conference like this without addressing a very big orange elephant in the room. And it's a thing that I think demands exactly the kind of leadership that Ufi's, that Ufi exemplifies. So we do need to think about this. We all have to decide which side of this we want to think about. Now, a lot of us have engaged with sustainability, and frankly, it's really hard, and we know this isn't easy for a start. Secondly, it's probably almost certainly more change than we are comfortable with or even would like. And so that's quite convenient at this point to go, you know what, everyone seems to be backing off, I'll do the same. And so it is very much, I think, a critical juncture for us, each of us as individuals within our organizations. Do we listen to the rhetoric, or do we follow the risk? Okay? So I'd just like to share just a couple of thoughts with you. This is something called the Actuaries Climate Index. It comes from the American Academy of Actuaries. Actuaries, as many of you will know, their job is to calculate risk and the probability of those risks occurring. They are what determines whether the insurance industry has to pay out small or large sums on behalf of their clients when there is damage or loss to their clients' properties or assets or businesses. Okay? What these guys have done is they have created an index, which is like any index, it's a basket of measures. In this case, it's 6 measures, which are the most causal extreme climate measures. So they are high and low temperatures, drought, precipitation, sea level rise, and wind, extreme wind. Okay? And when I say extreme, all of these measures come in the 10th and 90th deciles. So they're right at the ends of the distribution. What they've done is they have created a benchmark data from 1960 on the left to 1990. And it's against that benchmark that they have measured increasing probability of these events and the impact of these events on the world. Okay? So you can see what's happening in the graph. Fires, this is obviously LA. Floods from Valencia not so long ago. Sea level rise all over the world. Drought, this is also Spain, by the way. 75% of Spain is meant to be diversified by 2040. Extreme wind, this is the other side of America. This happens to be Florida, at the same time when LA was burning. And smog, this is from China. It could be Pakistan, it could be, there's a lot of smog all around the world. One of the main reasons why China is really developing its sustainability efforts is because the population in these really densely populated cities are really suffering from air quality. So we need to decide whether and heat waves, we have them all the time in Europe. Heat waves, as we know and we learn on the course, is very inflationary for food prices, for instance. It causes all kinds of problems, not just the obvious damage to us as individuals and health and things. So we need to decide whether we think those risks matter or not, or we're going to listen to, for instance, President Trump, who says sea level, climate change, sea level will rise by 1/8 of an inch in 400 years. Big deal. For what it's worth, remember I said sea level rise is one of those core 6 metrics in the index. It rises by over 1/8 of an inch every year. Okay? But we have to decide in our businesses, what are we going to do? And the reason I mentioned those physical impacts, they're all physical impacts. Again, those of you who've done the course will know the distinction between physical and transition risks. These physical risks are really significant when it comes to the largest single asset class in the world economy, which is obviously land and real estate, which you guys know only too well. Okay? And it's, by the way, about 75%. It's a really significant rise on, for instance, equity and debt in terms of its scale in the world economy. So it really matters. If these assets really start getting affected in the way we saw in those pictures, we are destabilizing the world economy. There's no getting away from that. Okay, now we may choose to say, hopefully it won't happen to us, or it's down the road, or around the corner, or somewhere else, but it is a risk we need to consider. And just in case we are unsure as to what's happening, we are, for what it's worth, we are producing more greenhouse gases than we have ever produced in the history of the world. Okay? Temperature last year, for those of you who know, was above 1.5 degrees every single month of 2024, which is the first time ever. And if you just look at this, you can see the months around the clock face, and in the middle is the change in temperature from a benchmark, in this case, between 1950 and 1980. This is all NASA data, by the way. So have a look at what's happening. Look at in the middle, look at it particularly from about mid-50s on. So you can see the speed of change. It definitely is speeding up, okay, and increasingly so. So this is not to be depressing. It's to really set the scene that we all have a choice. Do I listen to the rhetoric and hope that, for instance, we're going to hear tomorrow, almost certainly a lot of regulation will be pared back? Do we just put our belief in all this in a regulatory sphere, or do we think actually the markets will respond for all the reasons I was going through at the moment? The markets will have to respond. They'll need regulation and reporting and all that good stuff to help them. We've talked a lot about accounting standards. We're going to do more of that this afternoon. But the markets will have to respond. They will respond. okay? So it's not all about regulation, although we will hear a lot of rollbacks and pullbacks on regulation starting tomorrow from the EU, which many of you know. Okay, so against all of that, for those of you who do want to do things, we can do an awful lot still. If we think they are real risks that could impair our asset values and our productive capacity, our ability to make money, then we need to do something. Okay, and that's really what the rest of the day is about. So, to start that process, again, let me remind you, questions to these Dragon Den, Ramsey and Jorge, if you'd like to come up, please. They're the first two Dragon's Dens. Ramsey's going to facilitate, and Jorge's the guinea pig here, because it's the first one, so thank you very much. When we want to ask questions, we're designed that you must use the Mentimeter, okay, please. Ramsey, can you see the Mentimeter there? You can.
Perfect.
Good man.